All right, so we're having some technical issues, and so we will got to switch devices here, and then hopefully we'll give everybody a chance to find this second part. All right, so if you can kind of share this new video when you find it, there's a little place at the bottom here where it says that you can share, and if you'll do that, it'll help the people that got kicked off the last one to be able to find this, and that'll be really super helpful. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Just sometimes you can't control technology. It likes to control you, and that's just how it goes. All right, so we'll just kind of work with it. All right, okay, so we were saying that one of the things that you can feel with this is, give me a second, I have to look it up now because my notes are on the device that I'm using here. Give me a second. Gosh, you guys are so patient with me. Thank you. Okay. You just shared my video. Thank you, Avis. I appreciate it. Thanks, Beth. You guys are going to help everybody. They're like, what happened? Okay, so if I can just spell and talk at the same time. Circulation. Here we go. So it says feeling overloaded or not being able to let go of something that you don't enjoy. Okay? And so one of the oils that can help with that would be past tense. Okay, so if you want to understand why that oil, what that oil has to do with this, you can look it up in the emotions book. Okay, so in the emotions book, it goes by the descriptive name, which is the tension blend. So in here, it talks about how this blend can assist people in releasing stress and tension that may have contributed to or caused discomfort, like a headache, for example. But it also tells us that it can help us to release fears that create tension and pain in the body. It also says that it reminds us to be grateful for our life experiences. It helps us deal with negative emotions like being overworked and overwhelmed. Okay, and so that can cause you to have some issues in your body regarding circulation. So you could put this on the area. So let's say you're having an issue in your legs. What you could do is you could just apply this to your calves, okay? And that would help with that. So if that emotion resonates with you, then this may be the oil that you want to use for your physical concern, which is the circulation. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like a little puzzle. You find the little pieces. Another option could be that you have, that you're constantly putting yourself down. Okay, so if you're putting yourself down, then what you can do is you can look for an oil that has to do with self-confidence or love of self. And an oil that I can recommend would be bergamot. Okay, so if we look up bergamot here in this book, and I'm getting this all from the book here, and I'm trying to go by memory because I don't have my notes anymore. But bergamot is the oil of self-acceptance. And so it says here that it can relieve feelings of low self-esteem, self-judgment. It can help us to have overcome core beliefs that we're not good enough, that we have to hide behind fake happiness and cheerfulness when we're really feeling bad about ourselves. And it actually has some pretty powerful cleansing properties in our energy, and so it can help to kind of get rid of those limiting beliefs that we're not good enough. And if you can think about it, you can kind of get stuck, and you want things to flow, and that's the reason why this could affect circulation. So if you're having a circulation issue, let's say throughout your body, maybe inhaling the bergamot and then applying it maybe up your spine to get it throughout the body. Or even over the heart, because we know that the heart has to do with where our blood gets pumped through. So maybe put this over the heart, and that would be a good time to maybe say some affirmations about your self-worth and who you are, and talk about what you want to feel instead of what you're feeling, okay? So bergamot's one. Another one is basil. And basil is one when you're really feeling overwhelmed. And it's called the oil of renewal. And I really like this one because a lot of times when you're feeling that overwhelm, you can really just feel fatigued and you just don't have the motivation to get up and do things. And again, if you think about circulation and things flowing in your life, it can just kind of bring things to a grinding halt. Because you're like, I'm done. I have too much on my plate. I can't do another thing. And things just kind of don't flow, and that can affect you physically. And so basil is another oil. It talks about here that it can help restore the body to its natural rhythms of sleep, activity, and rest. So we want all of those things to be flowing and moving. We want to rest when it's time to rest. We want to have activity when it's time to have activity. And we want to have balance in our life, and so basil can really help you. So if you're feeling anxious feelings, overwhelmed, tired, exhausted, it just really has to do with with just trying to cope with life and feeling lots of stress from all the load that you had to carry. So basil's a really good one. Okay, so don't forget to inhale the oil first. Another oil that's really good is the Aroma Touch blend. And you may find that when you ask people, like in the Oil Shares Facebook group, if you're a member of my team, if you ask people, you know, what oil should I use for circulation issues, and or for like for circulation issues, like in the feet and in the legs, a lot of times you're going to have somebody recommend this oil. And so it was interesting because when I looked up circulation in the oil reference book, I didn't really see a lot about Aroma Touch. But that's why it's really cool to have a really great support system when you use essential oils, because you can look things up in a book all day, and you should look things up in a book. You should be able to look up your own health concerns and know how to do that, and that's kind of why I'm showing you. But you also want to be part of an oil community, because there's something to be said for conventional wisdom, which is like people who've been using oils for 4 and 5 years and been using the doTERRA oils, the high quality oils, and they know what they do, and they've been going to all these trainings and sharing lots of oils and teaching lots of events about oils. They have more experience than you, and you can draw from their experience. And so if you're a member of our Facebook group for our team members, then you'll be able to go in there and ask questions. And this is one that people will probably mention if you're asking about a circulation issue. So let's see why would this one have to do with circulation? Well, it's called the Massage Blend in the Emotions book. And it says here that on an emotional level, the Massage Blend moves somebody from stiffness of heart and mind to openness and flexibility. So you see again how your thought processes of being stuck in life can affect you physically, and things flowing and moving in your body. And so it says here that this just can reopen as the muscles relax and release tension. The individual body relaxes, and so does their mind. And it affects their ability to move with life and allow things to flow. So again, you can see how that can be a factor. Another reason for circulation problems could be putting yourself down. We kind of talked about that a little bit with bergamot. An oil that I found in the Emotions book is the Detoxification Blend. And bear with me because I'm going off of my memory, not of my notes. So hopefully I'm getting this all straight. Yeah, this has to do with addictions or toxic habits that you have, things that like limiting beliefs that you've had for a long time that, you know, I'm just not good at stuff. People don't like me. I can't do this. I'm never going to make a difference in my life. I'm going to be stuck in this old rut that I've always been in. I just can't get out of it. Those are all limiting toxic beliefs that you're holding on to. And this is the Detoxification Blend. So it's going to help you to just get rid of some of that junk that you're believing. And this one says that it can assist you during times of transition and change to detox old habits and limiting beliefs. If you're trapped by self-sabotaging behaviors or addictions, it can pave the way for new life experiences. So you can kind of see why this one might be relating to circulation. So you kind of want to find the one in there that pertains to you. And if that's how you feel, you might want to switch over from using it for just physical and find the emotional oil, inhale it, and then put it on the place in your body where it's bothering you. So this can go for something as simple as a toothache. So, I mean, I was having a tooth problem a couple weeks ago, and I was not seeing a lot of results with the oils, which I normally always do. So I thought, Deanna, this may not be a physical issue. So I started looking into the emotional, and there was things in there about like procrastination and issues like not facing issues that you need to face. And I realized that really what's the word I'm looking for? Just drew a blank. But that really like made me feel like that's exactly what I was dealing with in my life. And so instead of just trying to treat my tooth, I decided to go ahead and focus on the emotional reason why I might be having the problem with my tooth. Does that make sense? So you kind of need all these tools. You need the oils, you need the Emotions book, and you need this Feelings Buried Alive book. In fact, this is a great book to read. This was one of the top 5 most life-changing books I've ever read in my entire life. Yes, resonated. Thank you. I was like resounding. It resounded. I don't know. I've been traveling this week, and so I'm still like confused about the time zone that I'm actually in. By the way, I'm going to throw this in. This has nothing to do with this, but a friend of mine told me, this is really weird, but they told me that if you're traveling and you're changing time zones and you're out of sorts, she said that you can really kind of ground yourself to the time you're in by using patchouli. If you want to know later where to apply it, I'll tell you privately because it's kind of weird. And I'm not going to say it on the live video, but I will tell you privately if you ask me later. So it's just going to really help you to stay grounded. And so it's a pretty cool little trick there, especially if you're traveling through time zones a lot and you're having that like jet lag issue. Like I was really struggling with that. And so maybe I need to do some of that today. Okay, so let's go to another health concern that's a pretty common one. I got to remember what it is. Sinus issues. A lot of people have sinus issues, and they'll use things, you know, we have this really cool recipe called the Steaming Hot Mug of Death. And a lot of people really like to use that one when they're having sinus issues. But if you find yourself just constantly struggling with sinus issues, or you're holding on to sinus issues and you're just not able to clear that up, it might be time to look into why there might be some emotional reasons why that could be happening. Okay, so let me look in my handy dandy book. This is called Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. It's actually a little reference card. Oh gosh, crash and burn. Give me a second here. Sorry, I've kind of just rigged this other device to work in a pinch. Okay, sinus. Here we go. Okay, ooh, this one is a little close to home for me, guys. Trying to call the shots in someone else's life, being dominating or possessive. Okay, so basically being a control freak. Yeah. So there's a few oils that have to do with that. If I can get this to stand up and cooperate with us. So the first one I found was Arborvitae. Arborvitae, I have always referred to this as the control freak oil. And the reason why is because I know I really struggle with the issue of thinking like I have to do everything and fix everything myself. And it's like, sometimes when you get in that mode, you forget that God is the one that can empower you to do things and change things and make a difference. And if you're just like rejecting his wisdom and rejecting his power and trying to do it on your own, you're not going to have as good of results. He's kind of like God and you're just you. So wouldn't you rather tap into his power than trying to just be a control freak and fix it all yourself? And people that do this tend to get overwhelmed. And that we talked about some of those oils a minute ago. So Arborvitae, a really cool tip, and I told you this on my little oil a day, is putting a little bit of this on your belly button. If you think about it, that's where you are connected to like your mom. It's just kind of your source of connection and your source of like nourishment and knowledge and everything. And so that's a great place to use this oil. If you're having the sinus issues though, you can inhale it. You could put it in like we do the Steaming Hot Mug of Death. You could just do a steaming hot mug of water and maybe add a couple drops of Arborvitae and close your eyes. Put a towel over your head and just inhale that oil. So that's pretty cool. If it's a sinus issue, you want to get it up in there anyway. And that's the best way to affect you emotionally as well. So that's pretty neat that you can kind of do two at once. So Arborvitae's one. Another oil is oregano. And if you think about it, this one is, I believe this one's in the Steaming Hot Mug of Death. And when you're dealing with any kind of gunk, oregano is usually one that you use. So it kind of makes sense. But let's look in here about the emotional stuff and see why, what this could have to do with basically being a control freak and trying to call the shots for other people. Correcting other people, trying to make them think exactly like you. This is called the oil of humility and non-attachment. It says it removes blocks, clears negativity, and cuts away negative attachments. It addresses a person's need to be right all the time. Some people may try to convert other people to their own fixed opinions. Their will can make them unteachable and unwilling to budge. So folks that are struggling with this issue can often they might be having terrible results at something, but they refuse to change what they're doing. And then they're frustrated and angry that they're not getting better results because they're just unteachable and they refuse to change their habits. In fact, they try to convince everyone else to try to do what they're doing even if it's not working. So oregano can help to break through a strong will. And it can also dispel attachments that hinder you from growth and progress. So this is a really, really good one. And this could be the reason why you're having sinus issues. So if you're having sinus issues and this also resonates with you as far as an emotion, then this might be the oil for your sinuses that you want to use. This is really hot and really strong, so be careful. Again, inhale it, and you can do that through a steaming hot cup of water. And I would just do 1 drop of oregano. Definitely keep your eyes closed and be prepared for it to be really, really strong. Another reason for sinus issues could be being irritated by someone close to you. Now, I know that's never happened to any of you, but like maybe a family member, coworker that you're, or a friend that you encounter a lot, and they're irritating you, you can end up having sinus issues as a result. And so cardamom, which is really funny because cardamom is really known as a respiratory issue as oil, as well as a digestive oil. And so cardamom can really just help you. Let's say it says here, cardamom is especially beneficial for individuals with a long history of anger or aggression, which often becomes directed outward. So they're angry and then they're lashing out at other people. So other people are irritating me because I have a lot of anger pent up inside me. It may be anger towards myself, and then I'm just picking on other people, telling people, you did that wrong, you spelled that wrong, you acted wrong, you shouldn't have done it this way, whatever it is, we like to correct people. And so it says it assists individuals to break down or digest these intense emotions of frustration and anger by redirecting energy to the solar plexus, which is kind of like your gut. And that's the center of personal responsibility. So it helps you to stop blaming others for your frustrations in life. It's funny because it's like kind of, I'm a preacher's kid, as most of you know. So it's funny how like your preacher's preaching about something, and it's like the first thing you do is you think of all the people in the audience that he's preaching to. Like, yep, that person needs to stop gossiping, and that person needs to stop gossiping. And instead of looking at yourself and thinking, I'm kind of like being judgmental and gossipy right this very minute as I'm pointing out all these people. And so it just helps you to kind of point back at yourself and take personal responsibility for things in your life that are not going the way you want, instead of getting angry. It says negative emotions that it deals with is being inebriated by anger. So you're literally drunk on your own anger, and you're just like, just, you know how drunk people will just say stuff and they have no inhibitions. And so that's kind of how we take out our frustrations when we are not dealing with our own problems and blaming others. So cardamom. So that's one that you could add to your little steaming hot cup there if that is why you may be having your sinus issues. Isn't this fun? Okay, so then I have another one that a lot of ladies mention, which is menstrual problems. So if you're having menstrual problems, you probably are thinking, like I would be in the old days, that, you know, you need to work on your balancing your hormones. And that is very likely true. However, let's look at some emotional reasons why you might be having menstrual problems. So it says here, unresolved feelings of guilt. Interesting. And so if you are having unresolved feelings of guilt, you're feeling guilty about some things in life, it can come out as having menstrual problems. And an oil that was recommended for guilt, you will find to be very interesting, is HD Clear. This oil is one that we usually think of for like blemishes on our face. And there's a whole line of products for blemishes. But what in the world does that have to do with guilt? So let's look at that. And by the way, this could pertain if you're having skin issues. Maybe you've got some guilt going on, and it's coming out in your skin. So another way it can come out would be the skin. So it's the skin clearing blend, but it's the oil of accepting imperfections. So we all have imperfections, and we all, especially if you're a mom, you've all heard of mom guilt. We can all find reasons where we can beat ourselves up that we aren't a great mom, or we're not a great wife, or we're not a great employee, or we could have been a better this or that. And a lot of it comes from comparing ourselves to other people. Okay. I know that I'm never going to be like Martha Stewart and have all these cute little crafts through my house and all of that. And if I compare myself to other moms that are making like 9-tier birthday cakes in the shape of Wally Kazam, then I'm going to feel like a bad, terrible mom, and I've ruined my kid's birthday. Okay. But that's just not my thing, and that's not what I'm good at. And so I might be holding on to guilt, and it could come out in my skin, but it could come out also in menstrual issues. So here it says that the skin clearing blend supports suppressed anger, guilt, and self-judgment. The individual in need of this blend may harbor feelings of guilt or anger from the past. These feelings, buried feelings, and that's interesting because that book is called Feelings Buried Alive. These buried feelings may exist outside their conscious awareness. So you may not even realize why you're having this emotional or why you're having this physical issue. And you may not realize you're feeling guilt until you really spend some time journaling or really thinking about why am I feeling anger and frustration right now? What is this? Who is this directed towards? A lot of times it kind of goes back to cardamom. If you're picking on everybody else's faults and you're like, my husband's this and my husband's that, then you might want to look at why that's bugging you, because it's probably something about yourself that's coming out. So these feelings of pain or anger literally boil to the surface, and it can come out in the skin or it could come out in menstrual issues. So this helps to increase self-acceptance and self-love. So what would you do here? I would say that, of course, you want to inhale it, but why not put it over that lower abdomen where all of your female reproductive organs are located? You can try that and see what happens. So maybe you've tried some of the traditional things that people always recommend, like Clary Calm, and you're still having some menstrual issues. Maybe you're dealing with an emotional problem that you haven't faced. So maybe try some of this. All right, I gotta check on the time. Okay, we're getting low on time, so I'll have to wrap it up here. But let's talk about 2 more oils in under menstrual issues, because we talk about how Clary Calm is so wonderful for balancing our emotions. But what does it, or balancing our hormones, but what does it do for us emotionally? Let's look it up. It's called the Monthly Blend in this book, and this is called Emotions and Essential Oils, a Modern Resource for Healing. And you can find that on Amazon, and you can get it as an ebook. Okay, so under the Monthly Blend, Clary Calm, it says that the Monthly Blend assists relationships by teaching individuals to be emotionally open and vulnerable. It eases fear of rejection. This is really interesting. Check this out. It says it releases emotional tension within the reproductive organs and helps release the expectations of suffering and dread related to the monthly cycle. Well, let's go back to this, the Buried Alive book. It says that menstrual problems can be as a result of fear of being a woman, or fear of your femininity, feeling no joy in your womanhood or your femininity. So if you're just constantly dreading kind of what makes you a woman, your female reproductive organs, and you're rejecting that and angry at that and frustrated at that, then no wonder that you're getting all that anger towards those organs, and no wonder you could be having menstrual issues. So this actually helps with how you feel about your reproductive system. Isn't that cool? It can also have to do with a relationship between you and your mother, like mother-child bond. So if you have past issues with your mother, this could be coming out in menstrual issues, and that's why this oil can be good. And then the other one is called the Blend for Women, which is Whisper, and this one's a little bit different, so I want to read this one to you. This is pretty interesting, actually. A lot of times we go right to Clary Calm for all the menstrual stuff, but we don't think about Whisper. Certain times of the month, I use this one instead of Clary Calm, or in addition to it. This one said that Women's Blend softens your overly masculine individual by getting them in touch with their feminine side. So sometimes we just we feel too vulnerable when we're in our feminine side, and so we try to get all tough and hard, and we've rejected our femininity, and then we can start to have menstrual issues as a result. When placed over the liver, it can ease feelings of anger. It calms tension, irritability, and malice, and encourages adaptability. It assists individuals in healing relationships with mother, grandmother, and other women. It helps them reconnect with their mother when there's been strain, separation, loss, or abuse. It challenges individuals to work through issues relating to femininity and sexuality. If you've rejected your feminine energy, it helps you to heal wounds and find balance by reconnecting to your feminine side. So if you're having trouble with relationships, this could be one reason, is that you're stepping out of your feminine side into your masculine side. And if you're a man, it's the same thing. We all have a feminine side and a masculine side to us. And if you're too much in that male, hoorah side of you, then you could be having trouble connecting in relationships with your spouse, with friends, whatever, your children. And so it's okay. You're not going to turn into a woman, guys, if you use this. And I would say, again, you can use this by inhaling it and also over that lower abdomen area. So I hope that kind of helps you to understand how you can use these oils to find the emotional cause, and these books to help you to find it. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about how you can get some of these oils in your home and how you can be part of our oil community so that you can take advantage of other people's wisdom that have used these oils longer than you. And not only will you have the oil reference books, but you'll have thousands of folks that you can reach out to. So here's what you do. You want to get your own wholesale membership to doTERRA, and how you do that is you choose an enrollment kit. We have different kits of all different sizes and price points, so you will find one that matches the size of your family, the size of your budget, and it'll give you some basic oils in your home. When you do that, your membership to doTERRA is free, and if you're part of our oil shares team, then the person who invited you to take a look at this video or who shared their oils with you, just get back together with them and ask them for a link to go and look at those enrollment kits. Also, if you choose a kit, then they will purchase for you an oil reference book as a gift. And we just do that to pay it forward because with the exception of me, gosh, there we go again. Okay, with the exception of me, most of us on here did get a book when we enrolled with a kit, and so we're going to pay it forward by getting a kit to you as well. All right, now, this is what's really cool, and I hope that you guys will stick around to hear this part. In the month of January, if you decide to get started as a wholesale member and get a basic kit of oils, you have this really cool promo that only happens once a year. And here's how it goes. Enroll with any kit, and then in February, place another order through our rewards program of at least 100 points. So it's basically $100 of essential oils in February and get 100 free. So the minimum, the smallest kit is going to be right around 100 points. So you spend 100 points in January, spend 100 points again in February, and then get 100 free. So it's basically like buy 200, get 100 free. And we have a special code that we will give you if you choose to get started in the month of January. And that way you can plug that in, and that'll entitle you to get $100 in free oils, which is super, super awesome. Any kit is going to qualify you for that promo. So anyone that you choose, you get the free membership, the free book, and after you do your second order, you're going to get $100 in free oils. If you have any questions about anything we talked about or how to get started and you don't know who invited you, maybe you just found me online, just reach out with your question below and I will connect with you and make sure that we connect you to either myself or the person, if it's someone else that helped you to get introduced to doTERRA, we'll connect you with them and make sure that they help you get started and get all the freebies that you're entitled to. And I hope this has been super, super helpful. We will be back here next Sunday at 9 Eastern, and also every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be talking about, for just a few minutes, about an oil. It's called an oil a day. And this week, we're going to be talking about balance, basil, bergamot, birch, and breathe. So we're in the B's, and tomorrow's balance. And so I hope you'll join us. And when you find something that's helpful to you, feel free to share the video. They're all public, and maybe it'll help someone else. Take care. Have a great night.